We need to talk about this. Talk about this.
All right, now, here's your host of the Georgio Says podcast. It's Georgio.
We need to talk about this.
All right, guys, I had to cut the intro short because James and I obviously have not been on together in a while. Hi, James.
Hi, Georgio.
Yes, it was probably for a reason we haven't recapped the last few episodes because a lot has happened, but everyone is really fixated on a few things that are happening on the show right now. And so we're going to go over that and what's gone on since the last episode and little bits in between. James, what are your thoughts thus far on everything? Just like what's been happening? Did you foresee any of this kind of happening or playing out in the way that it is?
I mean, I think the last time where we ended was right before they went on the New Orleans trip. So those 3 episodes were very impactful for what's going on right now. But I think as you can see that there is some lying going on. There's somebody's not telling the truth. Somebody's forgotten something. Somebody misspoke. So there's all this stuff, and this is where it starts to get messy. But also we also have somebody inserting themselves into this group that can also make things hard to follow, if you know what I mean by that. But here we are. The reality is this person is now, even for a split minute of being on our show, has now caused even a bigger rift with these ladies, and which are now putting one of them on an island by themselves. So it's now one word, one person versus everybody else. And that's very hard to do. And that's, in my opinion, it's kind of sad because there's somebody is now either jumping on somebody else's boat just to not look like they are friends anymore, or they're just, people are just making assumptions and following the other person. But it's hard, and it's happened on another show, but I'm just saying, like, it's now where it is, and one person's on an island defending themselves only. And now you got to maneuver around that and see how it happens. So this is where we are. But yeah, I mean, there's some stuff that we can talk about too.
Yeah, real quick, I just saw today quickly that it looks like Shannon has now started following Katie again. So that's interesting turn of events. A lot of people are saying that perhaps it's because she sees where the audience is swaying, and so she doesn't want to, I guess, look like she's part of that. So, whatever the case is, maybe they had a conversation. We don't know. All I do know is that Bravo has approved Katie to do the Nick Viall podcast, which she did recently. She was on 2 T's in a Pod. And this is where it gets really messy because now we've inserted Sheena into the conversation because, Teddy is speculating perhaps because Gretchen and Sheena are so close, maybe that's who told Kiki initially, but Kiki is, going to die on the hill that Katie told her that information, and Katie's going to die on the hill that she did not tell Kiki this information during that lunch. So it is a he said, she said situation, so to speak. But and obviously we're not going to have any real receipts to be able to prove otherwise because it was a lunch conversation. So how are you going to, unless someone was recording? But I think for me, it shows how well seasoned Tamra is actually as a housewife. I think people are starting to see little by little, oh, wait a minute, she was telling the truth here. She was telling the truth here. Oh, so it's slowly, I feel like it's kind of opening people up to not necessarily being team Tamra, but not being all against her all the time. Because quite frankly, I feel it was smart of her to bring this up to Gretchen first, because in my mind, it could have been used against her at some point during the season. That's just my own speculation. But I'm just saying, like, a lot of people are pointing the finger back at Tamra for saying it on camera first because she was the one that brought it up, but it would have come out. But anyhow, the New Orleans trip was wild for a lot of reasons. Some of my red flags were once, Tamra told Gretchen the situation about Naked Wasted. There's this moment where you find out that the husbands have already spoken because of the way Katie's coming in. She's like, what's going on? Matt's calling me. And it's like, then you find out like, oh, well, like, did you tell bloggers that I said that? I never said that. And she's like, no, I would never say that. But then at the end of that episode, Katie then realizes, oh, wait, I'm just gonna tell the truth then, because she's trying to like now pretend. So we see kind of like a swap out of like friend. And I think this is where the audience or the viewers are starting to be like, oh no, this is looking like a throwaway, like pawn. And this is where you like from that episode, the buildup of intolerance for what is happening, specifically with two of the cast members. People are just like, they don't even care what Katie's done. You know what I'm saying? Like, they're like, yeah, if I don't care if she did lie, like, this is still unacceptable behavior, considering other franchises have had worse happen and they've somehow been able to move through it and not isolate or do whatever. So Katie didn't have a great trip in New Orleans, but it does feel like in New Orleans, it became that much more abundantly clear. Jen and Gretchen have so much hatred for Tamra that they would kind of sit back and kind of let this play out. This is the view of the audience and myself included. But were you on the New Orleans trip?
Yeah, I was, yes.
So before you go on, was the energy the same when it was playing out from where you sat in that space for that trip versus what we're seeing play out on our TV screens right now?
I mean, I think what you can see is already they're almost set out for Katie
Okay.
in some way, for sure. You can kind of feel that vibe.
Okay.
And however way it played out, I mean, especially when, Katie was kicked out from the other group, there is no, it wasn't even, I wish as a producer for Katie, I would have, my advice to her is to, you need to speak up for yourself, advocate and speak up. She shuts down and she doesn't know how to respond. And I think if she had that in her, it would play much better in terms of understanding kind of why she's on her own island, but then there would be maybe backup with somebody else joining her on the island if she spoke up more. You know, if Shannon said, "You can't come with us," she's like, "Okay, fine, I'm not going." Like, no, Katie, I speak up, talk. I tell her, confront her. Why am I the one that has to go? Why can't you go? Why don't you go somewhere else? Like, fight for who you are and what you trust. This is what's making you feel guilty because
Mm-hmm.
you are not confronting them.
It's
And
hitting her later, and
Mhm.
her resentment builds up, and then she starts making these little rookie mistakes that she's kind of made, which I believe at this point she's learned from. But I
Yeah,
agree with you. I've said it before. It could not be me. It could not. I don't give a shit. I would say own everything 10 times over, but fight for your spot because you were given the spot for a reason to begin with. So
yeah,
yes, if Shannon's like, no, you're not going, I'm like, bitch, you're not going then. How
right.
about that?
Exactly. If
I'm
that
going.
it would have sparked more of a conversation in terms of like, Shannon probably would have gotten a little upset and said, you know what, Shannon might have not have gone if Katie spoke up and did that, And then the other two ladies would have to figure out where they want to go and how
Mm,
to insert themselves. It would have been a totally different story. But, you know, I think Katie's like you said, kind of the rookie thing, even though it's her second season, she just needs to self-advocate and she needs to respond better. And I think that's why she does really good in her interviews because she's on her own, she's
hmm
just responding, and she's now able to say without confrontation. So she has a little, I think, in my opinion, a little bit of confrontation issues that she doesn't know how to respond quick or get to the point. So, and who knows? We don't know a lot about Katie's past. I think there's a lot there that we don't know, that could be part of that, maybe.
Well,
And maybe,
she was in a tough spot with her marriage. So I think a part of her shutting down comes from the conflict that could turn really horrible if you didn't
yes,
shut down, if you know what I'm
yes,
saying.
yeah,
So I totally understand why she shuts down. However, uh but now it's time to put your big girl pants on. Like, especially after this, I do feel that she's learned a lot as
mhm.
well through this process. But it's been hard to watch some of it with her just kind of being like, okay.
I know.
And I'm like, what do you mean? I'm
Yeah,
like, please, something like get up and be like, oh, fuck you then. Like, I don't know, something like you're just like, all right, bye.
yeah, yeah. Can
See ya.
I,
Do you want me to take my mic off?
I,
Oh, here you go.
no, oh, sure. Yeah, it's very like, okay, I'll do it.
Baby gorgeous, and I love that.
Cut. Let's try that again. Vita baby gorgeous, and I love that. I missed my line. What the Harry? Cut. Vita baby gorgeous. What a baby gorgeous, and I love that. Cut. Let's do it again.
Vita baby gorgeous, Hondas. I love that.
Cut. Vita baby gorgeous. I love that.
Vita baby gorgeous. I love that.
Hi baby gorgeous. I love that. Cut.
Shop the new merch collection from Georgio Says.
That's a wrap, folks.
Lisa Barlow.
This episode of the Georgio Says podcast is brought to you by Pop Pop and Ya-Ya's Smoky Pet Treats, where every bag has a story, and every bite is made with love. Each Pop Pop and Ya-Ya's Smoky Pet Treat is 100% natural, gently smoked to perfection, and made with just one ingredient, either chicken or beef. Your pets won't say no. No preservatives, no additives, just pure, savory flavor your dogs will love. Perfect for snacking, training, or even crumbling over their meals for an extra tail-wagging treat. Visit ppyytreats.com today to shop their smoky chicken breast strips and smoky beef strips and tell them Georgio sent you. Now let's get back to the episode.
Agreed. Now, here's where things really kind of go real left, in my opinion. We get to Persian New Year
Uh-huh.
at Emily's. Were you there for
Uh-huh.
that?
Yes.
Okay. So this guy that was brought on,
Yes.
I'm going to assume this was more production aligned with securing him sort of thing, because I feel like, well, a couple things. I feel like Emily's taking a like big hit for what this guy actually is in terms of being a lie detector examiner or whatever. But at the same time, I know it had to be like something that it was her idea to maybe be like, or maybe it wasn't, I don't know. But people are not happy with the fact of how that lie detector situation went down.
Sure.
Specifically Wendy. Okay. Wendy's attitude, like,
I, I
I
was
don't know
even
what was going on, who pissed her off, who
I,
revved her engine, but she was fine for everyone else. And then Katie, as soon as it was Katie, she was like, "You fucking liar." And it was
I,
basically
I
that. I was like, "Oh my God."
I think myself, I don't know others, but I was just like my jaw dropped. Like, is this happening? Like, I was like, oh my God, that it almost. Again, my opinion from seeing it, it almost felt comedic. Like, it's.
It was also because she's got these heavy bangs too. So it's like she's very serious looking. And then she just went in for it like she was part of the cast. And I was like, wait, does she lie to you personally or something? Like, why are you so angry about this?
Well, I'm guessing I could say something like this because this is what uh, took place. What, from my knowledge, is, of course, when we're looking for um, certain things or uh, what do you call it? Like things that um, almost like a segment type thing. So
Like an animation for
yeah,
the scene.
what kind of happened though, what you didn't see was Gina and Emily were kind of joking about a lie detector test off camera, but I'm sorry, it wasn't off camera. It was on camera, but it didn't air. And I don't think they flashed back to it at all. So it almost like that's where that came from. However, it's not like they know somebody right away and to get this person within a week. So what the segment team does is research people that would be open to filming, you know? A lot of these places responded that, there wasn't enough time or they weren't comfortable being on camera. Of
Oh,
course, you're
okay.
okay.
I
Yeah,
know
I don't,
you're not. I'm not. I'm pretty sure. It's a safe to assume you did not line this up or do anything for this. Okay.
I did not know.
So, guys, just so you guys understand, this man, this polygraph examiner, John Grogan, is not fooling around when it comes to his IP, because he has purchased every single polygraph examiner domain for every state. So when you type it in, it redirects to that one website that's like 32 pages long. Nonetheless, he has been on Beverly Hills. He was the guy who did the lie detector for Lisa Vanderpump during, I think it was Puppygate.
Yes.
But anyways, he's also done other reality shows. He clearly has it on his website. He's, pay for play. He's done a lot of YouTube influencers, things like that. So I think when people picked up on this and they were like, they saw how Wendy delivered the news just to Katie that way. And then Emily was like, "What? You should just go." She was just like, "Okay, bye." And I was like, "Wait, what? No."
But then,
I mean, I know it's not your house, but like,
yeah. But
I
then
don't know.
again, it's the same thing. Katie doesn't know how to self-advocate. We can talk about this all the time, all day long. But knowing again, Katie's probably thing in her head is this is Emily's house. I don't want to be disrespectful.
Mhm.
But yet, if you were a veteran, if it was Tamara, she'd be turning around being like, fuck you, I don't care. This is your house. This is what I'm saying, and this is how I feel.
Mhm.
So, but as you could see, one of our producers was outside talking with Katie. He's telling her, this is your opportunity to go back in there. Are you sure you don't want to go back in? And, and in Katie's mind, she's like, no, I'm done. Like, I have nothing to say. And then I know that when she got in the car, she was talking to Matt, and that was it. She took off. I do want to say though, back in New Orleans, because I know where we are now, um, she off camera again. Uh, I was given the task to just go check on Katie when all this stuff was happening. Oh my God, that's so funny that check mark came up. I was given the James, check on Katie, see what's going on. Because this was also the time where uh, Gretchen and Jen were in the room. So I went to go find her, and I've never seen Katie cry and so upset in my life about this whole thing. Um, I've never even seen her tears coming down her face. That when she had to go back and film, she literally wiped it up like nothing. You couldn't even tell. So to me, she's like, James, I don't know why this is happening. I don't understand. Nobody's understanding me or listening. I've never did any of this. I was just repeating what was told to me when they did all this stuff. So I said, well, you got to tell them that. What you're telling me, you need to tell them. So I'm just here to listen to you. And if I had bigger cameras, because it wouldn't make sense for me to just film her by herself crying down, like it just wouldn't have made sense. But if she would have kept that face back on going to go see them, it would have it would have sparked something. But she's just so, again, it's like she's almost nervous to how she would look on camera with that. But
I
I
think
don't.
that's the problem with her as well. I think she's used to a different sort of media where you're not necessarily breaking down or showing that, at least when there's cameras up. And I think she knows what the show's about in her mind, but I think being on it again is always a completely different animal. But I think there's just that is a pattern I think most people can agree with. She's not advocating for herself enough. Um and hopefully at the reunion she does. Like, that's my hope.
Look, hopefully we've all tried to give her advice. We all tried to let her know that this is an important thing for you. So pretend you're in that interview chair. This is what I would tell her if I was at the reunion and I was her talent
Hmm.
for the day. I'd say, pretend you're in that interview chair and just Andy is talking to you. Don't look at anybody else. Just focus on Andy and tell him how you feel. Because if you can't confront them, just say what you need to say. And if it's Andy asking you the question, ignore everybody else, ignore the noise, and just pretend you're in that interview chair because you are really good at interview chair. And if you're really good there and you sat in that chair and listened to the question, you're going to do great because then you'll be able to respond to these ladies when it's one-on-one, you know? And if Gina asks you a question, pretend she's the interviewer and you're the interviewee and just tune everybody else out. Because if that's how you're better with a one-on-one, then do it. because apparently when it's everybody, she's just she can't respond. So I'm curious how she's gonna do on the reunion. Sorry, I can't even respond. I'm curious how she'll end up in the reunion chair. So
Yeah, I'd be interested to see which seat she has as well, because I mean there's a lot of things happening. She's been pretty much the sole storyline for most of the women thus far.
I feel like if they bring her out, my thing, just for her purposes, I feel like she deserves next to Andy.
I do too.
And it should be Andy. It should be, even though Katie's currently in the first few episodes, she should be in right next to him. And across is going to be Emily or Gina. Shannon is going to be over there. I mean, the only people she could possibly sit on her side would be Jen and Gretchen at the end for that. So the seating chart, I guess, would be Katie, Jen, Gretchen, and then all the other kind of ladies. And I would either have, I mean, it's almost Shannon is kind of directly across from her because she had the out with her in the beginning, and then I think it should go as it falls out. Like Shannon's there, then it's like Emily, Gina, Heather. So, and then of course when she's done, then it's probably going to switch sides or somebody will go on the other side.
Yeah, it'll be very interesting. I mean, listen, we're at I think this week we're at the halfway mark pretty much
Yeah.
for the season. So we still have a ton of other things because the mid-season trailer dropped as well. So, we're swinging right back into talking about Shannon, it looks like. But what I do want to say about this past week's episode, we did have Katie, but we won't be seeing Katie pretty much with the group for the remainder of the season, from what I understood. But I will say, and you know how I feel about how house husbands getting involved in the mess. I will say the exception here, I do think, is Matt, because I think, yes, we don't like the husbands getting involved, but I think because he probably sees that she's not advocating as much, maybe like whatever. So he was on Chef Stu's podcast recently, and he gave his version of events. And this is where we get to Slade, and we start to see like, okay, Slade is calling a lot, and there's a lot of phone conversations and dialogue. What could you guys possibly be talking about? So now we've spun it back into the Gretchen and Slade situation, where it's, people are already still annoyed with Slade from, the child support of it all and whatever. So we see these text messages on Matt's phone, but we also see that someone didn't sign off on letting some of those messages be shown. I'm assuming Slade probably was like, no, I don't want to sign off on those. But then it kind of leaves a little bit out of the context of why are we showing this? Because to me, it looks more like Slade is talking about Tamra, because right under that, we see a screenshot of what Tamra posted when she said that she quit when they were in New Orleans. So now, again, that could change later, because Katie said in her stories, like, when you see that again, it won't be blurred. So that could also be maybe for a preview of the remix, if you will. It'll give us more of that context later.
Yeah,
I don't know.
It's like a text message where you rub it out, like, oh, I didn't mean to say, when you rub it and then it just magically appears,
Is that what we're going to do? We're just going to rub our thumb?
Yeah, you rub your thumb over the message and it appears. You rub it out.
But I was doing that all day yesterday and I couldn't. I'm not going to lie to you, James. I sat on 6 different AI platforms trying to get that blur off, because I was like, if I can decode this like right now, I'll be like the Messiah. No, it didn't work. So your editors are good. Shout out to the editors because you guys locked that blur in really good. But no, so yeah, we're not going to see Katie, unfortunately. And so that I think also this episode, it was also trying to show that the women can start closing loose ends with each other now that Katie's not in the group because they're not focused on her. They're focused on like each other. But we do have this beach scene with Jen.
Yes,
And
that's coming. Yep.
I guess I'm confused because it's like she was mad about people talking about her money last season, what she spends it on. This season, she makes a joke because there's a croissant in a box. And she's like, I'm on a budget. And it's like, okay, well, which one is it? Because you guys are, you're still getting glam. You're still buying expensive attire to film the show. So, but anyhow, there seems to be a lot of like, it felt like, let's pretend like Katie's not in the group anymore and let's just focus on these other things. But I don't know. I don't know. It felt like we're trying to just get her out. And like, neither here nor there. Like, we're not going to blink an eye. And I don't know. There's something that's feeling like off about it.
It's
from
like
that standpoint.
I don't know if you ever watched Family Matters, but you know, the season where the daughter goes up the stairs and is never mentioned or seen before, and everyone's like, but she's there, she's somewhere. Why you can't talk about her if she's upstairs? But uh, you know, they did try to talk about her, but then it's also like you can't talk about her because she can't defend herself. So, or you know, if you, it's kind of hard to explain in terms of like, it's like if you're going to keep talking about her, then
she should be there.
She should be on the show. Right.
No, yeah.
But if you stop talking about her, then it makes sense. So, but that's the thing. It's like that's all who it was about was Katie, Katie, Katie. Now they don't have someone to talk about. So I guess some digging in the past will end up figuring out, you know how it is. You know, these ladies, they'll find something on someone. Who it'll be, I don't know.
Well, a little birdie told me what's one of the things is. But anyways, the issue I'm having now is we have this moment where Katie is brought up, but Tamra brings it up, and she's basically calling Gretchen to the carpet again about you did say you went to the hospital, though. You told us, and it wasn't, I know we only saw it once in the flashback, but Tamra says it was twice on camera that she said that she did go to the hospital. But then Gretchen then says, I must have misspoke, or it was like, yeah. It was clear then, okay, we're having selective memory. I'm noticing that across the board right now with everything that's happening, by the way, with Katie. It's like, there's this surefire, like, yeah, she definitively told me this, this, and this. And then when you ask another detail, they're like, I don't remember. I don't know. And it's like, how do you not remember these things that are so stand out? Like going to the hospital. One would remember, I would think, going to the hospital after feeling sick enough to have to go. Yeah. And if you were embellishing, then why not just say you were embellishing? I was upset. So I probably said like emotionally, like, whatever. It just now feels like we're scaling it back. So then Tamra and Gretchen go off because Tamra's like, look, I'm going to just clean up loose ends. I met up with Jen and Heather earlier. Let Jen keep going on and on about the same old stuff. We seem to be okay. Now let me go ahead and do it with Gretchen because, part of me thinks that if she can get moving forward with Gretchen, then Shannon will look like the asshole out because then she's the only person that's still being like, but when Gretchen and Tamra are having this conversation, we find out Gretchen's basically saying that Slade hasn't been able to work because of Tamra. Like, his reputation was destroyed because Tamra was constantly bringing up all these lies about him. And which is untrue because you can't put that all on Tamra, A. And B, he was choosing to be on TV. And whenever he was public facing, all he talked about was being on Housewives. I think he really, really ultimately wants to be a full-time housewife. But nonetheless, it's feeling like he meddles in a lot of stuff behind the scenes. And I think for whatever reason, Gretchen is defending him and dying on that hill. But it feels like Gretchen doesn't have anything else to discuss outside of what has happened over a decade ago at this point. And they seemingly get to a good spot and skip over, which then makes Shannon actually feel like the asshole because now she's going to be the only one that's not in, a good space with Tamra for the moment. But the other thing that I have an issue with Gretchen is I feel like it's really easy for her to lie. And I think the viewers have picked up on this because she forgets she's been on TV quite a bit. And so like when she said she's never taken a lie detector test before, but yet you have, and you did it with this guy. Like he's the same guy who did Marriage Boot Camp. So it's just little things like that where it's like, well, just say yes. Or I don't know why Slade hasn't paid back his child support. But Gretchen's not the only person lying. It feels like Jen jumped on that bandwagon and is now just like saying whatever basically Gretchen's
Whatever
telling her to
Gretchen's
say.
saying.
Yeah, that's what it feels like. I'm not saying that that's exactly what she's doing, but she also is another one that I was like, wow, you have selective memory. Like
it. Yeah. It almost, this all reminds me of when I was on Beverly Hills when Rinna forgot to say that she thought Kim was going to die and she was back in the corner. It's the episode, I think it's called Backed into a Corner.
mhm.
Kyle confronts her and that face, she's just like, I don't remember saying that. So this hospital thing and her being the polygraph, like it's all like it's a very now to me like a housewife moment where we look, people are forgetful. People sometimes I can't even remember what I did yesterday until somebody tells me, but at some point it's going to be like, oh yeah, I did. But so look, whether she went or not, we don't know. We don't have HIPAA records. We can't go to the hospital and be like, this is what you did. So only they can do that. So it's more of like, she said she did, but now she said she didn't. So it's now coming to the point of what do you believe? What do you believe? And I guess to kind of move on or try to move on from it, everyone's just going to go with whatever she is last saying, except for now, probably Tamra, right? So, because Tamra despises Gretchen. So that's the only thing that would make a conflict, right?
Mm-hmm.
We're all just trying to move on. This is silly. Let's move on. So now we're at the point of, okay, what are they going to find on each other, or what's going on with their lives in general? And at this point of time, that's what's happening now because Katie is gone. So, but like you said, I didn't catch the last episode, but what did Tamara say about Katie? Was this the one where there was something that she just wanted to clarify with her? Are they at the volleyball courts?
Yeah. They do the volleyball match and then they sit down and have the croissant in a box and then they share their breakup stories because Shannon's daughter came.
Yep.
Tamra, She may have, I don't remember exact. All I remember is that she wanted to dig back into calling Gretchen out over the hospital comment.
Oh, gotcha. Okay. Okay.
She may have, I don't even know if Katie was brought up at all. Maybe in confessionals. I'm trying to think if she
No,
was.
I don't
feel
think
like they kind of completely iced out any Katie talk for the
I think
reason of
you're
making it seem
yeah,
like they could be a
you're
group
you're right.
without her.
There
That
may
was
be something later than where it starts to come up a little bit because it's alluding to what's later. Yeah.
and yeah, so I mean, honestly, the episode was basically kind of like transitioning Katie out from the group. And I think now we're gonna see hopefully some different storylines playing out because for the first half of the season, like I said, it's been about Katie and Kiki, and like it's kind of taken over. So, um, I don't know. I have a lot of thoughts around the way the season's been playing out. I'm by no means trying to, and I've said this every single recap. I'm not excusing Katie and her wrongs by any means. I'm not trying to pretend like she didn't do anything wrong.
Right.
No,
Right.
absolutely. I've called that out. And I think she is accountable enough that she's owned up for what I believe she made some mistakes on that are proven mistakes. She's come out, we've seen her apologize, take the accountability. When the
Right.
Kiki of it all starts to come up, this is where it gets a little dicey and then it goes like way off course to the point now where I think I'm not speaking for Kiki, but I think even Kiki's probably like, oh God, like this is all turned into such a disaster. And Sheena now, because Sheena is pissed off at Teddy for alluding to the fact that she could have been the one that told Kiki this information initially. So everyone's sitting and dying on their hill. No one's budging. So quite honestly, I don't know where this goes or where this is going to land, quite honestly. Hopefully the reunion will help tie some of that up. I know that films later next month, but we still have a ways to go in terms of episodes. So I don't know. I'm sure there's going to be a continuous amount of new developments continuously coming out. I also want to say too quickly, and then we'll wrap this up because James has a life and he has a job outside of this now. So, but what I want to say is that I have, and I've said this on some other episodes of this podcast recently, I'm not going to name names, but there are definitely a lot of content. I don't want to say a lot. There's a few content creators that I have seen since the Katie of it all started blowing up, where you guys wanted to pile on that situation and try to say, "Oh, she reached out to me too. Oh, she reached out to me too," and then get and continue with the content as if like it was playing out with you involved, and it isn't. And if you feel like this is resonating with you, it's for you. But it's just annoying, quite honestly, because as someone who tries to have a lot of integrity, and I'll say this too, because I was going to say at the top of the episode, but I can say it now. Earlier today, I did post a TikTok and Instagram reel where I was mainly questioning Kiki and why she sat with Gretchen rather than, let's say, Katie. But additionally to that, I was also speaking on what she had talked about on the Carlos King interview. And I did misspeak. I said that she said that while Gretchen was in New Orleans, she called Sheena. She did not say that. So I spoke with Kiki. I did take the video down and it's handled its squash, but I just wanted to put it out there because, again, I'm not here to rage bait people, but I do know that a lot of content creators are trying to ride on the back of Katie and the demise of Katie, the reality star, if you will. And I just think it just lowers the bracket overall when that happens because, it's hard as quote unquote blogger, which I'm not because I don't have a blog, but to do this and have the relationships with the Bravo Lebs and have their trust where they're comfortable to share things and not feel like you're going to run off and use it for views and clicks. That takes a lot of work, and you have to kind of, I don't know, you have to value that if you love this, what we're doing here. And I feel like I'm starting to see where people are like ready to just throw a can of gasoline and light the match and just say, oh yeah, screw it. It's horrible what's happening. Let me just ride this train down. And it just bothers me because I absolutely love the Housewives. And yes, it's going through its phases of transitions in so many different ways and whatnot. However, it's still one of the best reality TV shows out there. There's a ton of them out there, and this one is highly talked about, even on a bad season. And there's a lot of people that put a lot of work into these seasons. There's a lot of money that goes into these seasons. There's a lot of energy that goes into the season. So it's just hard for me at this point in the game to see it as an opportunity for someone to just be like, oh, let me ride this train. We're all human. We make mistakes. I made one this morning, but I owned up to it. I'm accountable for it. I have no problem doing that. But it just bothers me when people are just now going to just jump on a bandwagon, whether it's the content creators or people on the cast. I appreciate people that stand in their truth and can stand in the middle if need be. And I'm not seeing that a lot out there with you guys, content creators, some of you, and with some of the people on the cast. So that was a very long-winded, let me wrap this up, but I hope you understand what I was trying to say.
Well, I'll make it to the point for you because I know what you're saying is bloggers, stop involving yourself with these housewives. It doesn't lead to anything except you trying to look like you want to be part of the show. If you end up wanting to talk to a housewife, do it on camera. If you're off camera with them talking, it's a private conversation. And that's between you guys. It gets messy if you then come on and start saying what you want to say that the conversation happened, and it's not going to make sense because now you're not making this private conversation private anymore, and you want people to hear about it. So if you want to involve yourself with a housewife, do it with integrity, do it with trust, and do it with somebody that you are going to hold accountable then. But don't just go talk to a housewife and then come on your show and start blabbing something that you just want to make up because I saw so-and-so and we talked about this, and that. Zero. It makes zero sense. So stop inserting yourself in these conversations because it means nothing. Nothing to producers either, by the way. But the reason we're playing this out is because there was something that we just want to show that says it doesn't work. It doesn't work. So move on. You can talk about them. Great. But make sure it's a valid, you get it from the horse's mouth and put them on your show to talk about it. Then you might have something. That's all.
Well, I mean, speaking of which, I am actually filming with Shannon next week, so that's fine. No, I'm kidding.
Oh my God,
I'm kidding. We're having our sit
on.
down. We're finally having our sit down where she tells me why she blocked me. No, that's not happening.
I love this running joke. It's kind of funny.
No, it's hilarious at this point, and so I'm just gonna keep running with it because at some point I'm sure she'll wake up and see what she's missing, right?
Well,
Anyways,
you just tell her you a long time, you know? When you see her at BravoCon, you give her a big hug from me.
Yeah, then I'll get escorted out. No, listen, James, thanks for being on. It's been a while. We had a bit to catch up on, but it was good. We kind of talked about all the highlights that everything is, or what everyone's talking about as of today. We're going to continue watching, guys. Like I said, it's halfway. We're at the halfway mark. We still have a reunion that hasn't filmed yet. So, we don't know. Things could pop up throughout the season and we could be shifted in any which way. But before I head out, I do want to remind everyone, thank you to everyone who's pre-ordered your Housewives in the Stars tarot deck. Orders start shipping out on the 15th. Everyone who pre-ordered the Lisa Barlow Baby Gorgeous collection merch and the tarot cards got free shipping for the pre-orders. So the pre-order for the merch for Baby Gorgeous has ended. That was over on the 4th. You still have time until the 15th to get free shipping on your Housewives tarot decks. And these were all designed by me. And on the back, it has the equivalent from the Housewife cards to what the actual tarot cards are. So for my mediums and tarot card readers out there, this was for you. You guys asked and asked and asked and said it would be cool if there was one. There wasn't, so now there is. James, I don't know. Are we going to be doing this every week? I know you're like back to teaching again.
I think I love our little spontaneous. This one was kind of spontaneous. And I we can check in for next week, but I feel like we can start to maybe put them together. I think we covered everything from New Orleans together, and I think it kind of made sense. So I feel like we'll see how these 2 episodes, if you have dire questions for Georgio and you want us to answer it, then we can make it spontaneous and get those in if that helps. So
no, that's a good idea. And I think because of the way things are evolving, it's kind of better instead of going episode by episode to just kind of see how it moves.
Yeah.
For the next few. Okay, cool. So thanks, James, for jumping on after a long day of working. Guys, there's going to be 2 episodes today because this one was filmed later on my end and I am not going to edit it tonight. So you guys will be getting 2 episodes tomorrow. I still owe you guys a Miami recap, but I still have time because now Bravo's only airing stuff on Thursdays. So we're good. Anyways, I hope you guys have an amazing rest of your day. And until the next episode, guys, I will talk to you on the next one. Bye.
bye.
We need to talk about this. Talk about this.
Thanks for listening. Make sure to leave a 5-star review wherever you listen to your podcast.
We need to talk about this.